Hey everybody, happy Thursday. First, my disclaimer. In no way, shape, or form am I sponsored, endorsed, or ambassadored by any of the products or the companies in which I speak about. I solely speak about them out of the goodness of my heart. I share them with you, my YouTube community, who I also consider my faraway friends. In no way am I affiliated with any content creator, vlogger, or blogger of any kind. Go check out the video, leave your comments below. See you soon. Take care. Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Hopefully everybody's doing all right. What a week this has been, really. It's been annoying, and it is only Thursday. Thank goodness, because we only have one more day of this, and hopefully on to the weekend. Wanted to discuss my little table talk here. Thank you, Tickerella's Table Talk. To discuss with you the situations between my location of Primark and the locations in other Primarks, preferably Jersey. There's like about 3 or 4 of them that are locations in Jersey. I used to, not even used to, but I usually like to go to American Dream Mall, which has an awesome Primark. The other day, which was Tuesday, we wound up just out of the spur, because I was looking for something. And I'm going to get into the story of that. Started out last week, I noticed Wednesday Addams. And I told you that I'm not really a fan of Wednesday Addams, but you know what? I've been getting into the show a little bit more. I've been watching the season. So far, I binge watched the whole entire first season, because that's what I do when I want to look at a story or something. And right now I'm into the first episode of season 2. Hopefully there'll be a season 3. I don't know. But anyway, I like the stories now. I do. I like, she's like a little detective thing and finding things out. I like that. It's not like the original Addams Family, the old black and white TV show. Okay, because that's my generation to believe it or not, it is. So I like the story. I liked it. But I've been noticing that Primark has been having merchandise as far as Wednesday Addams is concerned. Okay, they have a beautiful bag, or should I say they had a beautiful bag. They have some other items, clothing items for children. Now, you know, children's going to be going back to school soon, because, you know, we're like 2 weeks or maybe like a week and a half. Another week and a half, close to 2 weeks, and we're already into September, thank God. Anyhow, but some has been good. Some has been pretty good. So I had my eye on a certain bag, which is a backpack. Now, that backpack seems to be a lot larger, because in the episodes of her, she's going to school, so she needs that as a backpack for school, you know. It's not a regular stylish little backpack. Now, Primark also has, from what I found out, phone crossbody cases, you know, phone cases or crossbody bags. And my location, I'm telling you, has really basically not enough of anything lately. And that's I'm going to say it. I'm putting it out there. The more I go there. So I was explaining to my husband Monday night when he came home from work, I was showing him the picture of the Wednesday Addams bag. He says, "Oh, that's a nice bag." I said, "Yeah, you know." He says, "You're thinking of getting it?" Maybe. I was iffy. You know, if I see it again, fine. Now, last week they had 2 bags on the hooks, and they have a whole display of her with her clothing line and everything. Monday I went there, and there was 1 bag left, and I went, okay, fine. So my husband says, "Why do you do that?" Because my husband knows. He says, why is it that when you see something and you wind up leaving it because you know what's going to happen next? And I says, well, it's funny that you mention that, because, you know, long story short, right here, the inevitable did happen. We went to breakfast Tuesday morning, and my husband, you know, mentions again, he says, "Did you want the bag? You know, you want the bag?" I says, "It's a nice bag." You know, I show him. He says, "I like the bag myself." He says, it's nice. So he says, on the way out of the restaurant, he says, "Let's stop off the mall. Let's see if we can get it." I says, "Well, all right." Sure enough, go there. They don't have the bag. I go to ask the person, you know, like I said, my location here knows me, you know, they've seen me around. So she says, that's been gone. She says, I said, "I know, I was here Monday and you had 1 left." She says, "Oh, that's a shame." She says, "No," she says, "but I don't know if we're going to get any more. You never know." You know, she says, you come here often." I said, "Yeah, I do." So my husband winds up, we're pulling out the cell phones in the store, in my Primark. He says, "I wonder if why can't you just order this bag? I says, because Primark doesn't do that, which is true. They don't do the orders, and everybody's pissed off about that. But then again, I said to myself, maybe that's a good thing, because that gets kind of screwy too, I mean, they are based in another country. That's, I don't know if they would actually ship it from a closer location. That would be an idea, but I'm not giving anybody else out any more ideas. So we wind up, it says on the location in Jersey Garden Mills Mall in Jersey. It's about 19 minutes away, 17 to 19 minutes away from us with no traffic, okay? It took us about 25 minutes to get there with a little bit of traffic. But my husband says, let's go. First I said no. My husband said, yeah, but they seem to have. I says, but here's the thing. That's low stock. It says low stock and it's in red letters. Chances are they may not even have it, okay? And they never updated the site. We wind up going anyway. Okay, wind up going. This is, now we've been to that mall quite a few times. We were there the week after that mall, that Primark opened. We were there. As a matter of fact, I knew one of the managements there because the management was doing training at my Primark, getting ready for the store to open so that she can train people from here to go over there to that store. Now, this was a whole different thing now that I think about it. Anyway, getting off of that subject, I didn't see her around or anything. I wasn't going to ask questions. Okay, this gets really interesting and very annoying at the same time. We walk around. I'm looking for the merch now. I'm a little bit unfamiliar because it is not my location. My location is so far behind right now, it's not even funny. I look over at the wall of bags because that's where we walk in first. We go over to the wall of bags, and the Fantasia bags, the Fantasia bag that I had purchased last week, they have a load of them. They not only have that, but they do have different styles. They also have like a makeup toiletry bag. I noticed that. I went, oh, look at this. My husband's looking at me. He says, did you want something of it? I said, no, I'm already done with the one Fantasia bag. But I just looked at him and I said, by the way, they may come out with a wallet of some sort. He says, how do you know? I says, because they do that with every other, line of Disney bags. It's all in a set. So we're walking around the store. We don't see any of the bags. We see nothing. My husband says, well, I guess we got to ask somebody. I said, yeah, I guess so. And I'm always hesitant to do that. Always hesitant because I know the answer. It's like I hesitate to know the answer. But anyhow, with that, there are 3 girls that are in doing something with clothes, but they seem to be yakking a hell of a lot more than doing anything, okay? And by the way, my location here, I have not seen any new faces for hiring at all, just to let you know, okay? It's the same crew that's basically in there. Nobody else is really new in there. I know that. Anyway, so I go to these 3 young ladies. And I says, excuse me, I says, could you possibly maybe point me in the right direction of the Wednesday Addams merchandise? Said it just like that, because I am a professional when I talk like that. The 3 girls, one looks at the other girl. Now, I was glad that my husband was really with me, standing here with me with this, because he was very vocal in his reactions. I know my husband starts talking, he's very opinionated. So I said it the way I said it. I'm going to say this one more time. Excuse me, could you please point me in the right direction of the Wednesday Addams merchandise? One girl looks at the other girl, and I swear to you this, looks at the other girl, goes, what, Wednesday? She looks at it, she goes, I don't know, it's Tuesday. She says, I said in my head, did I really fucking hear you just say that right now? Did I really hear that? And I'm saying it that way because that's the way it was in my head. Now, I look at my husband. The look on his face, and he openly, outright, wow, he goes. Now they're looking at him, and I'm looking at them. I said, so you don't know about the merchandise that says, clothing for the TV show Wednesday. I said, you don't know that? She goes, no. She says, I don't know. You got to ask somebody else. That was the attitude we got. My husband was livid. I said, gee, I'm so glad that you're here for this, really. I was very happy to have him here for this. Let me take a sip of my water here. I have just plain water. We walk away from them three professional know-it-alls, okay? We now come to a gentleman sitting on the floor, a nice young man sitting on the floor. He's actually doing something with the clothing on the bottom level of the floor. So my husband goes, strike one. I said, okay. I says, maybe here comes strike two. I don't know. So I says to him, excuse me, sir. I says, can you let me know, tell me if anywhere in the area is the Wednesday Addams merchandise? Looks at me, goes, I don't know. He says, you got to go over there and ask them. Just like that. Go over there and ask them. Not, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know right now, but maybe I'd like to direct you to somebody that knows. Listen, I worked in retail not too long, but that's, in my mind, that's what I would have said. But no, I don't know, go ask them over there. And I turn around, and it's the same three girls. And I look back at him, and I said, no, I already asked them. I says, they know less, basically, than you do right now. And I had to snap and say that. Okay? You are allowed to say that you don't know, but you have to do it in such a way, all right? There is a way to literally do that, all right? And then possibly try and direct that person to somebody that would know. 4 people so far that work in that store. My husband goes, strike two. I said, yeah, I know. So I walk over because often, and this store is huge. It's a 1-floor store. It is larger than my location. It's very much that. My location looks like a friggin' warehouse compared to the amount of Primark stores that I have actually been in. They're bright. They're roomy. They have a lot of stuff. The merchandise is amazing. They have it well stocked. They have it neat. There were people in the store that, everybody's shopping for kids' clothes for school. It was crowded in there, okay? I then look, basically I'm like, what the hell do I do now? So I just happened to scan my eyes, and off into the distance was the wall of, there was black shirts and everything. I says, okay, I'm going to try this one time. So I made a beeline, and I headed straight for that across the store, zooming in and out of aisles. And 2 women, I went, oh God, here we go again. 2 women were standing there, doing clothes. Okay, they were doing, but they were talking at the same time. All right, fine. At least they were moving their arms and doing. The other 3 were just standing there. All right, anyway. I look at the wall. I see some of the Wednesday Addams stuff. I also seen Corpse Bride. I seen Coco. They also have Coco pajamas now. Those are cute. Hocus Pocus pajamas and stuff like that. And Nightmare Before Christmas, which my store here, Nightmare Before Christmas, hasn't even made it out here yet. They have pajamas, but that's about it. And they're basically right now off season because those are the short pajamas. Those are shorts. So they're going to have to bring out the longer ones soon. I walked to the 2 women. I says, excuse me. I says, can you tell me if you have any Wednesday Addams merchandise as far as bags and backpacks? She says, she says, I don't think so. I said to myself, wow, she actually knows what I'm talking about. She said it in such a way. So she says, have you been over to the bag section? Sometimes, she says, bags get loose and wind up over there. Like people just put them down, or she says they'll take them from one way and put them. And that's another story that's coming up. And I says, oh, I can look over there one more time. I said, that's the first place where I tried, but I really didn't see anything. And I says about, and I mentioned, they also have crossbody phone bags. And she says, no, those we never got in. So she did know what I was talking about. She said, yeah, it's a large backpack, she says. I said, yes, it is. She says, yeah. She says, I don't think we have it here. She says, I'm sorry. So that person basically knew what I was talking about. I felt good. So I looked at my husband. I goes, not a strike, but a foul ball. I said, foul ball, not a strike. So, Jesus, was that a kid screaming? Wow. Kid in the hallway. And that's basically a kid that was doing that in Primark yesterday. I just thought I was going to pull my hair out of my head, really. Anyway, so we wound up walking around, and I went back to the Fantasia bag. So I said to my husband, I said, wouldn't it be funny if I find the wallet here? Well, lo and behold, I found the wallet. This is the wallet that matches my Fantasia bag. It's just a little coin purse, but it is adorable. And here's my Fantasia bag, and it just matches my Fantasia bag. There he is. I says, aha, mystery solved. I got the wallet. I'm okay now. I'm good. So my husband goes, you don't want any of the other, type of bags? I said, no, this is fine. This is good for me. So I am happy that this set, for me, this set is now complete. So, and this wallet was $6. It's adorable. Anyway, it's embroidered and everything. You could see it. Adorable. Anyhow, so that's done. Now I go to wait online. Now this Primark location at Jersey Garden Mills Mall has self-checkout section, which again, mine don't do that. If they had a self-checkout section, they wouldn't be in the shape they're in right now. I have a feeling my location needs a severe update. It really does. A refurbishing, do whatever you have to, but I don't see them being here past next year. I'm going to tell you something. That's just my intake, and that's sad. But self-checkout. Now, the only thing wrong with the self-checkout at this place was that's only self-checkout with credit cards. And I says, no, I'm paying $6 for this wallet. I'm going to stand online for it because I'm not going to put $6 on my credit card. It's just, if I had the Wednesday Addams bag and stuff, yeah, then I would have done that. But no. So what it is that I stood online. Now, a gentleman was in front of me. 2 people were up at the counter, paying for their stuff, and there was only 2 cashiers. I waited about 15 to 16 minutes. One woman, actually the both of them, they were a pair because the 2 of them, God forgive me, they were slow as shit. They really were. One of them had a $100 bill. She got handed the $100 bill, and she's looking at the $100 bill, and I am like, is the president moving on it or something? Are the numbers like dancing around or something? Why are you just staring at it? Then if that's not bad enough, she then shows it to the other girl who happens to be very slow folding the other person's clothing. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And my husband is in the background. He's like this, leaning, and he's just watching me. He's waiting, and he's just watching, and he's just doing this. I went, yeah, but I really wanted the damn wallet. So I just, let me just get the wallet, because my Primark still don't have this. Anyway, after all that is said and done, after I pay for the wallet, we then leave. Now, Jersey Garden Mills Mall, we go there. They have a lot of stores. That mall is hopping, let me tell you. We then go to, because they also have the Disney outlet. That's where we go for the Disney outlet store. We only have one Disney outlet store, and that's where it is, at the Jersey Garden Mills Mall. So my husband says, gee whiz, I wonder if we can look around. I said, yeah, all right, fine, but I don't think I'm going to find anything. I wasn't looking for anything anyway. So they have Loungefly bags. They have the Loungefly Orange Bird. They did. They had Baymax, and they had Stitch. They didn't have Figments. And furthermore, I don't care for that Figment. I don't like the style of those bags anyway. They're like the faded color. I just don't like them. They had a wall full of ears. And they had, I saw Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I started to laugh at it. That thing should be $2, but of course it's like $34.99 still. My husband grabs the orange bird bag and he says, "Oh, look at this! Look at." I says, "Forget it, put it down because it's like a $90 bag." He says, "But it's supposed to be a discount store." I said, "Yeah, but it's not gonna be. It's gonna be $90." So he looks at the price tag. It's $90. I mean, Character Warehouse down in Florida has the bags. They also had Captain America, by the way. I think it was $80 or $90 for that one also. And at Character Warehouse right now, that Captain America bag is $40. So, yeah, I wasn't buying that up. You're not going to insult me by selling your shit up here for regular price. They had most of the Halloween collection for this year. They did. It was cute to see it in person, but did I buy anything? No, I didn't buy. That's not why I went to that mall, actually. So, and all that, we wind up walking out of the Disney store as well. And then we just walked around a little bit from the mall, and then we says, "Okay, we're ready to go home?" Yeah, we're ready to go home. That was it. We went home empty-handed, except for my wallet. My $6, which I think I was more happy. At least I got something, But it just wasn't what I set out for. Okay, now, we fast forward to today. My husband says, you should just, if you see the bag, you should just grab it anyway, so I went, yeah, I'll think about it. So I wind up going back to my Primark this morning. Just for the hell of it, anyway. I go into the Disney section, just walking around, because they still have the same usual bags. They have the Minnie Mouse bag. They have that black Mickey Mouse bag, with the material, the waffle type material. They have the Minnie Mouse canvas bag. They have the Bambi bag. I'm not into Bambi. And they have the Hello Kitty. They're doing all that shit. And I says, all right, I'm gonna go over to the Wednesday Addams section anyway, just for the heck of it. But then I turn around back to Bambi, and I says, well, gee whiz, that rack don't look good. Sitting right there on the shelf, on the hook above the Bambi bag is a black bag. It's the Wednesday Addams bag. I was like, I don't believe this shit. I really don't believe this. Okay, so what do I do? Grab that. It didn't look right because it looked like somebody was playing with it, walked around with it, decided they didn't want it, and didn't want to go back and put it back where it originally came from. So they just plopped it there. Okay. So I went to check the bag because the straps were open, and I was like, oh God, people had their hands all over it. I don't know what's going on. I opened the bag just to make sure that the stuffing was in it, the air bag of stuff, the bag full of air, air bubble bag. And everything seemed to be okay with it. The price tag was on it and everything. I says, all right, fine. So I'm walking around with that. And then I went over to the Wednesday Addams section, the actual thing, and they only have black regular bags. In other words, it's like to fill the spaces that were already empty. And I'm walking around with the Wednesday Addams bag like I'll be honest with you, like my shit didn't stink, because this is probably the only bag that's in the store right now, and I wanted everybody to see me walking around with it. It was one of those things. But yeah, I also picked up a few other things. I says, you know what, while I'm here, I texted my husband, I took a picture with me with the bag. He went, no kidding. I said, yeah, I'll explain it later, which I did. I says, people must have been playing with it. They left it there. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I present to you the Wednesday Addams bag. This is it, folks. This is a beautiful bag. It's gigantic. So, like I said, the straps they weren't tied up or anything. They were open. So somebody must have been playing with the bag. I really wish people wouldn't do that. I really wish they wouldn't. But anyway, this is it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love the stripes on it. It's a soft material, but it kind of reminds you of, not suede. It's just a soft vegan leather. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. But anyhow, this is it. It's $23 now because they went up. Everything went up in price, $23. I'm going to open it up. And they do have the bubble bag inside. They also have right here, I want to see if I can point this out to you. They also have right here the zippered pocket. So, and then if you really wanted to, if the bag is not open for you that much, they have the opening buttons right here. So they just, they close. But then if you want it open again, you just pull it open. And then the bag will be more roomier. Okay, so that was it. And they also have that zippered pocket. It really is a beautiful bag. Okay, 23 bucks. I also picked up, hopefully you guys can see me, because I do have the cinematic on, so the background is blurred. I'm sorry about that, but I started filming already. I picked up a Wednesday Addams shirt. Hopefully you guys can see this. Oh yeah, you can. It's a beautiful shirt. So this was $14, and I got it in the size large because this thing is like as big as this is like really roomy. So an extra large I didn't need. I also picked up two other things. Okay, I picked up the Wednesday hat. I like this. As a matter of fact, my husband was looking at this, and I says, nah, the other day. I said, nah, we'll put it back. But it wasn't until today I picked it up. So I think that's cute. And this bag, was $6. That was $6. Okay, then I said to myself, you know, my hair is growing. I've been using hair bands a lot. So I picked up the Wednesday Addams hairband. I think this is cute. I like this. I like this material. And it has the Wednesday emblem on it. Whoops. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. It has the designs on it. I think it's pretty cute. And this one was $5.50. So I spent a little bit of a nice little price, but you know what? I says, let me just do this now. I'm going to get the whole thing done, because if I just wait for bits and pieces, it's not gonna be good, because I'm gonna wind up missing something out of it. But no, the phone case crossbody they won't have. But you know, I look on eBay, and that's how I can tell other pieces to a Primark bag. I can always tell, because people actually sell the whole entire set. They have a whole set up there with the Bambi set. They want $149 or $150 for the whole entire set, which they actually also have the nerve to charge shipping anyway. I mean, the bag is $23. This is $12. It's no way $150 for the whole set, but that's what eBay people are making. Resellers. Terrible. So that's really it for this collection. I'm glad I got it, and I'm so grateful that I got the bag. So grateful. And I love it. I really do love it. So, anyway, alrighty, that concludes it. I'm glad that saga is over. I will continue to watch the show. I do like the show, like I said. Hopefully there'll be a season 3. I hope so. If not, that's the way it goes. And I just right now I'm just binge watching, and then tonight I'll do the rest of part 2. As a matter of fact, it gets like, I tend to put things on sometimes at the wrong time of night, to where I start to fall asleep. But then, you know, the next morning I'll catch up, I'll put it back on, and then I'll just start that episode over. So I was in the middle of an episode last night, and I know I have to start it over tonight. Anyway, alrighty, people. That's really it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Do you guys like Wednesday Addams? Do you guys like the show? I didn't really think I was going to actually like the show, but I do. And, you know, just goes to show you give things a chance, you know. All right. Love to all. Leave your comments below. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, everybody. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.